Hey everyone. Nowadays, the best way someone could blow up on social media and be popular is by creating an image of them being incredibly rich and looking shredded. And one person that did this and got famous from it, at first, was Dan Bilzerian, who does look like a textbook definition of an influencer. Because if you see his mansion, it is full of cars and money, with models just walking around. And the logo of his company plastered all over the place, making it seem like it's doing incredibly well. However, if you step back for a minute and look at the state of the company, it really is not doing well, with its stock value crashing from when it first started and rarely getting better. This would make you feel somewhat bad for him, but then you watch some of his interviews and it's really hard to see him as someone else than an arrogant guy that thinks he's the most famous person ever. So at some point, you do start to see his downfall as a bit deserving.
Nothing feels better than winning when people are patiently waiting to see you fail. Dan, you've lost 1 million followers in the last 12 months, seen your stock price plummet so low you had to take it off the stock exchange, and now spend the rest of your time copying Andrew Tate.
Yeah, we're gonna start a website called Sigma Society.
While rambling about
That's so gay.
on Twitter. This is basically the definition of failure, and here's exactly how it happened. Dan Bilzerian took his company Ignite public at a price of $2.50 per share back in January 2019, a time at which his career was going perfectly. His Instagram was gaining 400,000 followers per month, he was living in a $65 million mansion, and most importantly, everybody believed that his lifestyle was real. That would be until July 2020, 18 months after Ignite started, when Dan fired Ignite's vice president, who then sued Dan Bilzerian for unfair dismissal, in the process completely exposing his phony business model. For starters, the lawsuit explained that Dan Bilzerian hadn't actually paid $65 million for his mansion, but the property was rather rented for $2.4 million per year. On top of this, it was shown
That's so common when people have like really incredible shit but just rented for Instagram.
Accompany Bilzerian wherever he goes, despite Dan consistently stating that the girls were there voluntarily.
Do you pay these girls to come?
No. That's, okay, so
That's the big misconception,
yeah, I'm
right?
addressing that on my app.
However, the crazy
I love Joe Rogan. In that clip, you could tell he was the nerd, like being amazed by the joke, like, whoa, these girls come to you for nothing because they like you?
part of the lawsuit outlined Dan's strange expenses, including $75,000 on a paintball field, $40,000 on a rock climbing wall, $60,000 on a Star Wars gun set, $31,000 on pool renovations, $50,000 on a bed frame, $15,000 on a ping pong table, and $88,000 on a vault, just to name a few.
What a child. What's the huge gap in quality from like a cheap $20 ping pong table to that
With a
much?
different former employee stating Ignite pays for everything. Models, events, yachts. Dan would just have it wrapped with the Ignite logo, and all of a sudden it was an Ignite expense, and he would send them the bill. Pools, trampolines.
That's really clever. That's some really good tax management.
To do with the business. Dan responded by stating, "Some journalist said Ignite was funding my life. Bitch, I've been going hard for 10 years and been famous for going hard for 7. I started Ignite 2 years ago, raised around 100 mil, and I own the majority of the company, suck my dick." Although his arrogant response failed to dismiss anything, especially the company's atrocious financial reports. Dan had spent a total of $69 million during Ignite's first year in business, which was offset by only $9.7 million in sales. Given the previously mentioned lawsuit explained how terribly this money was spent, Ignite's stock price plummeted by almost 90% from
my
$2.50
God.
to a low of 28 cents in October 2020. As the media
That
began
has to be one of the worst crashes in an actual company in recent years.
It has never had a profitable month since it started, and it lost over $5 billion in one quarter last year. However, Ignite's financial losses weren't even the worst part. Ignite only had an audience because of Dan's extravagant life, which as a result of the lawsuit had been exposed as rented. His lifestyle was
Right, I just want to stop the video here because I understand where he's coming from, kind of, where he's getting all this expensive shit like a jet, like right there. But I really think you don't have to go that hard. Like showing a few things you own, like a really nice car, to gain the followers that he has right now. Plus, I feel like a lot of people would be attracted to him because of his body. Like he does to a child look like the Chad template, with like the jawline, the muscles. So I could see it wouldn't be that expensive to like fool a kid and just thinking like you're really rich when you don't really need all this shit like earlier, like 50,000 for a ping pong table and a Star Wars gun set. Also, how old is he to be spending that kind of like money on really like childish shit?
intriguing, but it lost its edge as soon as people realized it was just another business. On top of this, the whole mega rich guy on Instagram shtick was cool in
Oh my
2014.
God. It's just earlier he had a lot of muscles, but look, the second he puts on a jacket, it's all gone. It's probably because it's black and it blends into the seat, but he looks really like skinny in that picture.
Statistics. In May 2020, Dan almost completely stopped posting to Instagram, and by the end of the year, he'd begun to lose followers. In the meantime, the media speculated that he'd soon fall for bankruptcy, to which Dan clapped back by tweeting a skeleton with the caption, "Or the dumbass journalist patiently waiting for Ignite to go bankrupt."
Hell yeah. He got them good with that 10-year-old meme.
69 million in 2019. Ignite lost a further 19.7 million in 2020, during which the media released another strange detail. Dan Bilzerian's dad was supposedly running Ignite from behind the scenes. Now, this was a problem for one main reason. Paul Bilzerian was a convicted felon who was illegally prohibited from participating in publicly traded companies. He'd spent a year in jail for fraud in the 90s, leading Dan to pretend that they weren't that close.
I talked to him probably 4 or 5 times a year.
However, according to one article, Paul Bilzerian has taken a less shadowy role within the company, sending thousands of emails between himself and other top executives at Ignite. This was only speculation at the time, but if Paul was in fact running the company, he was starting to do something right. Despite losing 19.7 million in 2020, Ignite actually recorded a profit in their final quarter, leading Dan to tweet, "Ignite announces a profitable fourth quarter." I guess the press and the dumb YouTubers were wrong, shocking.
Oh, that is so. I'd be so pissed off. I know why his son has to like fake an act by being like, yeah, I don't talk to him. But I'll be so pissed off if I did most of the work in the company and my son took all the credit.
Explained in a Forbes article. For one, Ignite cut costs, slashing a promotional budget by nearly 75%. Pandemics meant fewer parties, and for Ignite that meant a chance at profit. As economic conditions improved in early 2021, the price of Dan's stock began to recover rapidly, quadrupling from 28 cents per share in October 2020 to $1.13 only 1 year later. In the process, Ignite increased its revenue from 16.9 million in 2020 to 78.8 million in 2021, at which point Dan made the claim that he wanted to sell the company.
$2 billion would be nice, because then I get over $1 billion.
Oh my god, what's wrong with him? He was like tomato red.
Look unlikely, as the value of Dan's company began to fall off a cliff. Recovery made by Dan in 2021 was completely reversed throughout 2022, owed in part to one particular incident. The SEC is suing Ignite Brands Ltd for failing to produce documents as it attempts to pursue an accounting fraud investigation. According to the SEC case, SEC staff have uncovered information indicating that respondents may have filed public financial statements that include false or misleading representations regarding revenues earned and recognized in the company's fiscal year ending December 1st, 2020. On top of potentially falsifying their revenue,
I really want to see where it goes, because I find this kind of stuff interesting with like the IRS. I don't think it's the IRS, but I think it's a branch of the government that follows this kind of like taxing stuff. But I want to see, because most of the time, these kind of people that try to hide their profits never win against like the government. So I want to see where it goes.
Was under criminal investigation for something unrelated. As a result, the stock was headed toward a new record low. However, Dan was able to fix this problem by removing Ignite from the stock exchange altogether. He provided no explanation for the company's removal. However, just 2 months later, media publication MJ Biz Daily somehow managed to interview Dan Bilzerian's dad, who said he is now serving as an unpaid advisor to his son's company and was speaking on behalf of Ignite because Dan was unavailable to comment. He'd state there is no reason to have a public company unless you intend to raise capital from public markets, before going on to state though Ignite was publicly traded, about 90% of the company's shares are owned by Dan and friends. Dan likely thought that as a public figure he should have a public company, although this structure provided no real benefit and instead delivered unwanted attention from governing bodies and the media. Despite this, it was reported in March 2023 that Dan was still refusing to cooperate with governing bodies, and while Ignite's privatization means its income is no longer public, it doesn't really seem as though business has improved. Dan recently bragged on Ignite's Instagram by stating, "Best-selling vapes in South America," although the very top comment was, "Bro, I love you, but I never seen anyone smoking that."
Oh no, he's really fucked up now. He's selling vapes. I'm surprised he's selling vapes with someone with that like image. I would expect him to like sell like protein powder or something to do with like working out. But if it's vapes, like, god damn. I mean, clearly it's not his idea, it's probably some other company, but you can tell he's just like scraping the barrel for like any kind of like money.
Ignite's Twitter page gets about 30 likes per post. The company's official TikTok page has under 4,000 followers, while Dan Bilzerian's personal social media isn't looking so healthy either. His main Instagram page is losing.
But he does, however, he does have a Threads account, so there is still hope.
Isn't looking so healthy either. His main Instagram page is losing 100,000 followers per month, owed in part to his complete inactivity, only uploading every once in a blue moon. When he does post, all of the most popular comments state, "So sad you have to pay for having ladies around you, haha, lol, such a sad life, and I don't know why I still follow this dude." In January 2021, Bilzerian was asked, "Dan, why are you barely active over Instagram recently?" To which he'd respond with, "Because I just finished the 25th edit of my book. It's finally done." Yet Dan failed to return to Instagram after the book's release. However, only a couple of months ago on the Skinny Confidential podcast, Dan gave an updated explanation for why he'd quit everything.
I just don't care. Like, I feel like social media is like a video game I beat like 8 years ago, and I'm like, everybody's playing the same game. I'm like tired of playing it. Like, I look at social media like a cancer. Like, to me, I think it's the worst thing to be happening to society. So I just like, it just cringe to perpetuate that problem.
Dan seems quite resentful over his social media career and is perhaps sick of being hated. However, I can't imagine his next venture will make that any better. After seemingly spending a bit too much time with Andrew Tate, Dan Bilzerian is working on his own alpha male course and website called Sigma Society.
The thing I'm working on right now is a site where it's basically gonna like teach guys kind of like
Sigma?
What's that? Yeah.
Sigma?
Yeah, it's gonna like teach guys.
Oh my god, this is like the actual template for like the Virgin Walk and the Chad.
Guys kind of like
Sigma?
What's that? Yeah.
Sigma? Nothing against the guy, but he does look like that guy from the meme.
Like teach guys how to be guys. You know, I feel like this generation is kind of.
How to be guys, man. How to be guys. You know, how to pick up chicks. How to basically fuck over your own company. Shit like that. Oh, it's over. Oh man.
It feels like a last-ditch unoriginal money grab, which is almost always a sign of having nothing left to offer.
Nah, man, I still think he's a god. I love that clip. It pissed me off so much where he was like, I feel like there's nothing left to social media. I mean, at this point, you just have to like save his image by making it seem like he's still in control, and this is intentional, but that is actually so sad. In his defense, he still has like 32.8 million followers, but at the same time, it is on a decrease with 100,000 every month. That's insane. I would expect like his TikTok account to do well, because with this kind of guy like, that has like the kind of Sigma persona, he would do really well on TikTok, which I'm guessing is why he wants to like associate with Andrew Tate, because that is actually a really good recipe to getting popular with all the teenagers that would look up to him. But I guess it's not working. To be fair, compared to the people like on social media, he hasn't really done anything horrible apart from being like really embarrassing and managing his company in a really bad way. Because I've seen people like him or similar to him that have done really bad things in their private life. But so far, yeah, it just seems to be really shitty with money. So I mean, it's natural. If he's in all this shit in his mansion, like the huge place that was only rented and the jet and the cars, it is just awful. But they purely do it because they want to like maintain their image. And I feel like part of them loves the lifestyle, so just like they throw caution to the wind and they just buy all the shit they want. So it is only natural that, you know, the company would decrease. I kind of feel bad for the dad because he did seem to put some hard work in and try to save it, but of course his son came in and just fucked it all over. So poor guy.
It's all about the lost angels. We live in lost.